What's good, everybody? NicMakesPlays here. Today, I'm going to go over the top 10 most important must-have cards to craft in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. These cards are very important and played just about every single deck, so let's get into it. But don't forget, if you guys like Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, make sure you like and subscribe. Without further ado, let's go to the first card. The first must-have card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel is Maxi. If you guys are tired of your opponent spending like 10 minutes just summoning a huge combo, popping off, whatever, this is the card for you. It's one of the best cards in the entire game. So during either player's turn, so if they're going first, you're going first, whatever, you can set this card from the hand in the graveyard. Each time your opponent special summons a monster, you draw one card. So basically, if they want to pop off special summon other monsters, you get to draw a card every single time they special summon. This is very good at just drawing like your whole deck, so you're able to just retaliate, break their board, and then win through their board because you drew so many cards. Or if you set up a huge board yourself, then you're able to, they try and like fight back and break your board. You use Maxi. So while they try to break your board, you're drawing a card each time. So even if they break it, you just kill them next turn. Yeah, one of the best cards in the entire game. This is a must-have. Pretty much almost every deck in the entire game runs through this card. No matter what you're playing, whether it's Dark Magician's Tunes, Tri-Brigade, Virtual War, whatever, this is a 3-of card that you need in your deck. The next card that you need in your deck is another one that almost every single deck runs 3 of, is Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Let's read it. When a card effect is activated that includes any of these effects, quick effect. So you discard from your hand, essentially on your turn, your opponent's turn, whatever, to either negate a card that adds a card from next to the hand, special summon the card from the deck, or send a card from the deck to the graveyard. This is very good at stopping your opponent's engine, stops them from searching. A lot of cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Are like, add one blank to your hand, right? And you just Ash Blossom Joyous Spring that card. It can shut them down, kind of ruin their hand, ruin their consistency, and you can win the game off of it. And it's very good, just like Maxi, to stop your opponent going first and trying to combo off, or if you already have a board, you're like, okay, I'll just search my answer, or try and search my combo. You Ash Blossom Joyous Spring, stop it, and then they run out of steam, and you can win from there. Play to 3 at pretty much every deck in the game. Maxi and this one are definitely like VR1 in everything, and you can get this card in one of the bundles, guaranteed. There's an Ash Blossom Joyous Spring bundle in the game. The next card that you want to have is Infinite Impermiance. So, like Ash Blossom Joyous Spring or Maxi, you can discard from your hand, even though it's a normal trap. So let's read it. Target one face a monster your opponent controls and negates effects until end of the turn. Then, if this card was set before activation and is on the field at resolution rest of the turn, all their spell trap cards in this column are negated. If you control no cards, you get this card from your hand. So essentially what you do is it can stop an opponent's effect on their turn, even when they're going first, right? So they go first, try and combo off, you know, you can't do anything yet, it's not your turn yet. You can discard Infinite Permiance to negate a monster effect. But if it is your turn, you can also set it in your spell and trap card zone, right? And you flip it, negate one of the monster effects, but it also negates any spell and trap card activated in the same column as it from your opponent. So essentially what you want to do is set it in the same zone your opponent has a spell or trap card. So you can use it to negate one of their monster effects, but also use it to negate one of their spell and trap card effects. Very versatile, extremely good to have the ability to stop a spell and trap card and stop an effect monster. If your deck's packed with like, you know, Maxi, this card, Ash Blossom, it's very hard for your opponent to have those giant turn 1 combos without you having something to say about it. So this is definitely the next card on the list you want to be crafting. The next card on this list is Harpys Feather Duster. Just like the other cards that are really good at stopping combo-oriented decks, very special summon heavy decks, this card is very good at stopping the trap decks. A lot of back row heavy decks, decks that like, you know, summon a monster, set 5 traps. You're like, wow, I can't believe all these traps. They're so good. This card destroys all spell trap cards your opponent controls. The very common strategy in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is to either have the combo heavy decks or the trap heavy decks. And this is the perfect card to answer those trap heavy decks. I know that Golden Lord Eldlick is one of the best decks in the game right now, and this card absolutely destroys them. They usually set 5 traps, you just blow them all up, and you can just free to combo off, do whatever your deck does best, and win the game. The next card is Nibiru the Primal Being. This next card is also very strong against the combo heavy decks. If you just do not want to lose those combo heavy decks, like if you're just tired of them like popping off, you know, like comboing out the wazoo, then this is the perfect card for you to just ruin their whole combo and win the game. So let's read it. During the main phase, if your opponent normal or special summon 5 or more monsters this turn, quick effect, this means you can use it on your opponent's turn as well. You contribute as many face-up monsters in the field as possible, and then special summon this card, and give them a token. The token stats are the stats of all the cards you blew up. So basically, they summon like 5 million monsters. You can just play this card, blow up their entire field. You get a 3,000 attack monster, and they get a token. But they're investing so much into their combo. Pretty much their whole deck is based around like this turn 1 combo, and you just tribute everything, blow it up. It's very hard for them to stop. Most cards in the game just can't stop it at all because it doesn't. It's not like a monster effect. A lot of cards can negate like, oh, negate a monster effect, negate a spell trap. This isn't a monster effect. This is a summon. You just summon it on their field, you just blow up their whole field. So you kind of just win the game against any of these combo decks. Very important card to have in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. Next card is Called by the Grave. With all these hand traps going around, there is counterplay, and that is Called by the Grave. Target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, banish it. And if you do until the end of the next turn, its effects are negated, as well as the activated effects and effects in the field of monsters with the same original name. So if you're playing a huge combo heavy deck, you're trying to just combo off turn 1, you start your combo and your opponent does Maxi, right? Usually really bad spot. But if you have Call by the Grave, you can use it on their Maxi. So they discard the Maxi from their hand in the graveyard, or the Blossom Joy Spring from the hand in the graveyard. Then, since it's in the graveyard, you can respond to the card by playing Call by the Grave, banish it from the field, and their Maxi effect is nullified. Their Ash Blossom is nullified, and you're safe to combo off, continue your combo, win the game, however you're going to without seeing any problems. The next card on this list is Pot of Prosperity. This card is very, very good at fixing your hand with just about any deck that doesn't mind getting rid of 3 or 6 cards in his extra deck. So, especially good in decks that don't special summon too much. But even ones that do, you can still run 2 of these cards, just banish 3, and kind of just fix your hand to be whatever you need. You can just add it from your deck to your hand. But let's read the card. Banish 3 or 6 cards from your choice from your extra deck face down. So in a lot of extra deck heavy decks, you just banish 3. In decks that don't care about the extra deck, you just banish 6. So the rest of the turn, after this card resolves, any damage your opponent takes is half. Not really a big deal, doesn't really matter. Also, activate cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of cards banished. Add 1 activated card to your hand. Place the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order. You can only use 1 per turn. You can't draw cards the rest of the turn. So basically what you do is you just look at your hand, right? You're like, man, I really need this right now. If I draw this card, my hand's perfect. And you just banish the cards from your extra deck face down. You look at the top 3 or 6 cards of your deck and add exactly what you need. This pretty much fixes any hand, adds tons of consistency to whatever deck you're playing. So very powerful card to just, in Yu-Gi-Oh! There's a lot of very combo-heavy decks. There's a lot of decks that are very reliant on certain cards being powerful. Let's say you need a trap. Let's say you need this or that. You just take whatever you need and add straight to your hand, and you're good to go. Next up is Lightning Storm. This card is extremely versatile. It can destroy all your opponent's tactician monsters, or it can destroy all their spell and trap cards. A very, very strong card going second in just about any deck. Let's read the card. If you control no face-up cards, so basically they go first, and then it's your first action of next turn, you just play Lightning Storm. Destroy all tactician monsters your opponent controls, or destroy all spell and traps your opponent controls. So against the trap heavy decks, right? Destroy all their back rows. Against the combo heavy decks, destroy tactician monsters. So very solid, very versatile against most matchups. In going second, really helps you against the strong turn ones of setting 5 traps or playing a huge combo. You just break their board either way. Very, very strong card. Next card is Out Destinator. Kind of like Call by the Grave, has a lot of counterplay to all these hand traps, but can also be cards like Nibiru as well. So let's read it. Declare 1 card name, banish 1 of that declared card from your main deck, and if you do, negate its effects, as well as the activated effects and effects on the field of cards with the same original name, until the end of this turn. So essentially, you pack your deck with you probably already Maxi an Ash, but you can also put 1 Nibiru in your deck. This way, if you're trying to make a huge combo off turn, and you're afraid of Nibiru, you can just call Nibiru, banish the Nibiru from your deck that you teched in just for the situation of Out Destinator, and then I can't Nibiru you. Of course, you can use against Maxi, Ash. So this card's another way to deal with the hand traps and also deal with cards like Nibiru, as well as cards very versatile, so definitely a card you should be crafting in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. The next card on this list is Vaynes Emptiness. This card is an insane trap, one of the best traps, if not the best trap in the entire game. So let's read it. Neither player can special summon monsters. If a card is sent from the deck or field to your graveyard, destroy this card. It's a continuous trap. So all you have to do to win with this card is you go first, right? You set up a huge board and you just flip Vaynes Emptiness, and they can't special summon, and you just win the game. A lot of decks don't have answers to this card. You have to have the Harpys Feather Duster, the spell and trap removal. If they don't, you just win. Some decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Are very special summon heavy. You flip this card and you win outright. Some special summon a little bit less, but what you can do is it's a trap, right? So you can use it to respond to cards. So say they use Monster Reborn, right? You can just change the Monster Reborn. The Monster Reborn's already committed to the field. Then they can't special summon, so they just lose their card for free. Then they still have to deal with the fact they can't special summon and against your huge board. It's basically a turn 1, I win the game card against a lot of decks in the game, and even a lot of scenarios in the game. So definitely a card you want to be crafting in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Alright guys, that's my top 10 cards must craft in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, but I have more. I actually have 5 honorable mentions because there's just so many cards that are important in this game. So I have 5 more cards if you guys want to see other extremely important staple cards to be crafting in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. The first card on the honorable mention list is Imperial Order, an extremely old and extremely strong card, now only limited to 1 copy per deck. Let's read it. So continuous trap card, negate all spell effects on the field once per turn. During the standby phase, you must pay 7 LP. This is not optional, or this card is destroyed. So essentially, it's the same as Vaynes Emptiness. You make a huge board or play your strong cards, and you try and flip the Imperial Order, and then they can't use any spell cards, which every deck has their key spell cards they use. You can also use it in response to spell cards. So again, they go Monster Reborn, you flip Imperial Order, they lose their Monster Reborn because it's negated now, and they still can't play spells the rest of the turn. So you basically just win the game. Alright, the next card on this list is Pot of Extravagant. This card is very, very strong for decks that aren't too reliant on extra decks, very trap heavy decks that just don't need all your extra deck slots, this is the perfect card for you. The start of your main phase 1, banish 3 or 6 random face down cards from your extra deck, face down. Draw 1 card for every 3 cards banished. So essentially, you just banish 6 cards from your extra deck face down, and then you draw 2 cards. Again, if you're not using your extra deck, you're just essentially just drawing 2 cards for free, not really any downsides. For the rest of the turn, after the card resolves, you cannot draw any cards by card effects. But yeah, you just draw 2 cards. So whatever deck you're playing, you just get a free card. So very, very strong in decks that don't rely on their extra deck. The next card on this list is another pot card. So this one's Pot of Desires. Banish 10 cards from your top of your deck face down, draw 2 cards. You can only use once per turn. So at first this may seem like a huge deal, like what if you banish some really important card, but usually the drawing 2 cards, you know, for free essentially, outweighs the banishing whatever card you banish face down. You only wouldn't really use this in decks that are like they need a key unit or like need something for the combo that won't work at all. But main decks, especially again like the trap decks, can just splash this in there, being able to draw an extra card each turn, and you're able to just draw extra trap, draw your extra Maxi, your Ash Blossom, whatever, your combo card, and you can just win because you're up an extra card to your opponent. The next card is Forbidden Droplet. This is very, very good at going second and breaking boards for those combo heavy decks. Send any number of other cards from your hand and or field to the graveyard. Choose that many effect monsters your opponent controls, and send the turn, their attack is halved, and also their effects are negated. In response to this card's activation, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects of cards with the same original type as the cards hit the graveyard. So essentially what you do is you just shut off all their effect monsters, right? A lot of times in Yu-Gi-Oh, your opponent ends the turn with like 3 monsters in the field that like negate effects, like negate spell and trap, stuff like that. So you just use this, you send cards from your hand to the graveyard, and you negate all their board. They can't stop you from doing anything the rest of the turn, and you just combo off and you kill their board, and then you win the game. Alright, last but not least, we have Twin Twisters, one of the generic and best spell and trap removal in the game. Very simple card. Discard 1 card, then target up to 2 spell and trap cards on the field. Destroy them, very good into trap heavy decks. If you have cards that have graveyard effects, you can discard a graveyard effect from your hand. So you're blowing up 2 spell and trap cards and getting an effect. But either way, just very, very good going second to clear all these spell and trap decks. You can also use it if you're going first. You can just set it, and then when they set their spell and trap cards, you can kill them at the end phase so they can't use them. But yeah, the perfect card you'll need against all these spell and trap heavy decks. That's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed this list. If you guys like Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel and want more Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel content, make sure to like, subscribe in the comments below any cards that you think are very important or very good, or if this video helped. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.